Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here in Live Fit Kitchen. We are joined once again by the fabulous Dr. Purcell.
Hi, Alicia.
Hello.
Hello again, Live Fit.
So today is quite a day for me. I have never in my life eaten a Brussels sprout. I know they're good for me, but I've never wanted to. But Dr. Purcell tells me that today is my day and I'm going to be trying one. So
I can't believe that. I'm shocked.
anyway, we'll see how this goes, won't we? We do have what looks like a great recipe. So if I was going to eat a Brussels sprout, I suppose this is what would motivate me. Tell me why I love them so much.
This really should be called an anti-cancer dish. We have two kings of the anti-cancer vegetable empire in this recipe. It's called sauteed sprouts, but it really should be called Hello, No Cancer. What we have are 2 tablespoons of walnut oil, 10 Brussels sprouts. I call them baby cabbages, and you want to cut the ends off and half them. 3 to 4 leaves of kale, 1/3 cup of water, 1/4 cup of currants, or 2 tablespoons of honey if you don't have any currants in your kitchen, and 1/4 cup of walnuts. Brussels sprouts are amazing little vegetables. And as Alicia gets started cooking here, I'm going to tell you some more about them.
So you'll notice, of course, that this is the first time that we have stolen the cooktop from Jason's kitchen here in the studio and actually brought it out into Live Fit Kitchen. So I did pre-prepare the Brussels sprouts. They are blanched only, and I am slowly heating our 2 tablespoons of walnut oil. So I wanted that to heat up while I was getting prepared. So I'll chop and prepare here a little while you tell us.
That's good. We might want to mention, Alicia, what blanching is. So we went ahead and filled the saucepan with some boiling water. And after she prepared the Brussels sprouts, so she had stemmed them and cut them in half, we submerged them in the boiling water for about 3 minutes. And that parboils or partially cooks the Brussels sprouts. And that's really important because these are hard. And as we're sauteing the rest of the ingredients in the recipe, we don't want everything else to get overcooked and the Brussels sprouts to be undercooked. So Brussels sprouts, as I mentioned, are one of the kings of the cruciferous vegetable empire. And cruciferous vegetables are amazing at helping our body detoxify. So half of the studies out there on Brussels sprouts are all about anti-cancer and the anti-cancer properties of them. So combined with kale, which you may have seen one of our other videos when we made the kale chips, kale is also one of those amazing vegetables that helps protect us against 5 different types of cancer.
And it was that kale video that got me to actually start to enjoy kale and have it in my kitchen, because you might remember I was not a big kale fan before that either. So the Brussels sprouts are ready to go into the oil. It's nicely heated up, medium heat there. You can tell that the Brussels sprouts are properly blanched. They're not quite hard, but they're not soft at all. But they've gone from sort of a dull cabbagey green to a really very bright and sort of more vibrant green. So in they go into the oil.
Whew, there's our sizzling sprouts for you.
I hope you can hear that.
Now, if you overcook your Brussels sprouts, they're going to start to smell a little funny. And that's because they have a sulfur compound in them that starts to be excreted, shall we say, if the Brussels sprouts are overcooked. So this may be why Alicia doesn't like Brussels sprouts, and maybe you don't like them because maybe you had a bad experience with them. They're very high in vitamin A, vitamin C, fiber, and get this, essential fatty acids. So for your vegetarians out there, you don't have to eat salmon to get your essential fats. You can eat Brussels sprouts instead.
How are they in these little green monsters? I don't understand.
Little baby cabbages packed with nutrients.
Our food's amazing.
Plant foods are especially amazing. Nature just packs them filled with all kinds of things that are great and help our bodies stay strong and healthy.
So we cook these for 3 to 5 minutes in the oil. I had the oil turned up a little higher, so I got a little bit of browning when they hit the oil. They actually smell pretty good. The walnut oil is starting to sell me on this. I'm not there yet.
The other thing I might want to mention about this recipe is you need to go ahead and brown the walnuts ahead of time.
I did. Are you proud of me?
I'm very proud of the progress. So before you filled the saucepan with water and blanched the sprouts, it would have been a nice, dry, clean saucepan. You stick the walnuts in there and you toast them. You need to make sure that you keep turning them, or else the walnuts will burn and then you'll have burnt tasting walnuts.
We remember when I did that last time. This time, I did not walk away from the pan. I was right there. It took about 3 minutes to get them nicely toasted.
And then you remove them from the pan, you set them aside in one of our little serving bowls, and we got back to business here with the Brussels sprouts.
Oh yeah, this is a one-pan recipe. That's neat, isn't it? So the other thing I did to the walnuts was chop them up into little bits.
It's a good idea.
Okay, so I think that
We're ready.
sauteed. We are ready. Okay, so now the kale.
Time to put the kale in.
So I've chopped the kale just roughly into sort of bite-sized bits. Does everything just go in together? I've got now. Good. Okay, so the kale goes in. Well, let's just stir that around. I left the thickest part of the stems on the cutting board, just the very bottom bits. Willow will get those later. She loves it.
Alicia also left the lid to our saucepan at home. So for those of you watching, at this point in time, you would want to put the lid on your saucepan, or at least partially cover them so that the steam that's coming up off the oil will help steam the kale and cook it a little bit more quickly.
I thought I was so organized. I'm sorry, everybody. Imagine me putting the lid on the saucepan at this point.
So it just might take us a little bit longer to cook our kale than it will for you.
It's going pretty well. You're right, though. It's not steaming quite how we would want. Now, does the rest of the stuff go in now? We've got some water and some currants and things to go in.
So we have 3 to 5 minutes of sauteing the kale.
Before I add anything else?
We should add the water at this point.
Okay, because the water will help it steam.
That's right.
Whoa, look at that. It's 1/3 of a cup of water. And we've got it on a medium heat here, so it really is sizzling away quite nicely.
And you may even be able to see that the kale is starting to turn a nice bright green color as well.
And soften up quite a bit. Oh, it is pretty. We shall see.
Vibrantly green.
It is vibrantly green, you're quite right.
All right, so as Alicia's tossing that, once that's all complete, we would remove our cover. We'd pour the Brussels sprouts and the kale into a serving dish. And then we're going to toss it with the toasted walnuts and the currants. Sprinkle a little sea salt, toss again, and we're ready to serve. The nice thing about this dish is that the currants, or if you should choose to add honey, adds a little bit of sweetness to really bring many of the flavors alive here. Toasted walnuts, a little sweetness, some delicious vegetables to help you detoxify and protect your cells from oxidative damage.
Jason just asked whether it was a phase 3 recipe to use honey. Honey or currants would both be phase 3. If you're on phase 1 or 2, what I'd recommend is that 1/3 of a cup of water that we put in to help steam everything. I would put a little stevia in that. Maybe just 5 or 6 drops, not too much. You don't want it to be sweet, but you could give it that little sweetness if you're on phase 1 or 2 there. Okay, so I'm going to toss it in the saucepan. Most of that water has boiled off, and our kale is indeed cooked, and our Brussels sprouts are
Tender.
sprouts. They are tender. Oh boy, I feel like I'm on Fear Factor. Okay, so.
The drama.
I know, seriously. Okay, so I have 1/3 of a cup of currants and 1/3 of a cup of my toasted walnuts just straight in, right?
Lovely.
We'll toss these. Oh, that really did quite a lot for the look of it, didn't it? Isn't that pretty?
It's very nice. It's a wonderful side dish, very nutritious and very satisfying.
Well, yeah, cabbagey things tend to be quite filling, so.
All right, Live Fit. It's almost
Okay.
ready for Alicia to try her first Brussels sprout.
So I tossed it. Now I add a little sea salt. Pinch of salt there.
Salt also helps bring out the nutrients within the kale leaves.
Does it really? And I thought it was just for flavor and a few minerals. Okay, here we go. So, this might be a little bit hot. Maybe I'll just
Drum roll.
just for a second.
Dun.
Grab a couple of currants and a piece of walnut to go with it.
That's lovely.
Doesn't that look pretty? This actually is a really pretty looking side dish. I'm just hoping that I can have a bite without burning my mouth. Here we go. I would actually eat more of that.
See?
I'm really surprised. The walnuts and the currants are really good. I shouldn't have been such a doubter. It's still a Brussels sprout, but it's hidden. Yeah,
There's a little bit more baby cabbage in that serving plate.
there is. Why don't I have the rest of it? It's actually pretty good. If you've never liked Brussels sprouts, this is me eating my first one and being really surprised by actually enjoying it. Thank you for joining us.
Go ahead and give it a try.